controlling scope, again, two different things. I mean, validating is what you're trying to get validated from your customer, whether what your deliverables are correct or wrong, and whether they're in acceptable quality to the customer. So controlling is actually trying to controlling to see whether their project is not going out of scope, your product is not going out of scope, and you're trying much as possible to stick to your scope baseline that you have initially agreed with your customer. So obvious inputs would be the scope management plan, the how factor of it. Maybe a change management plan is there, how the changes are going to get affected. This is the change. This is how we are going to do change in the organization, in the project. Configuration management, it's all about your what do you call your versioning and controlling of it. And requirements management, again, how we are going to tackle any changes in the control scope of the requirements. So once again, when you're controlling, when there are disputes and you're trying to control the project to the track and try to align, you as a project manager trying your best to get it aligned to the initial scope baseline. So you might have to refer back to your documentations, requirement documentations. You might have to refer back to your traceability matrices to find out who said what and why is the customer now disputing that this is not what has been said, and any work performance data and that is required, that how much of deliverables that has been completed. And maybe you might tell the customer, look here, now we have already developed that part in the software, and now there's a change and you're asking for a change request. So that information as a project manager you should have in hand when you're trying to negotiate with the customer. And your organization policies and procedures that is there in to tackle of how control can be, how the scope controlling can be tackled in. So in controlling scope, basically you as a project manager will be trying to understand the degree of variance. So controlling is all about plan against actual performance. So you're trying to understand what's your plan, your scope baseline, that is your plan, the difference between the scope baseline and the actual performance. So not only that, I mean, basically maybe you're performing your project and sometimes technical people get carried away with technical scoping. So you might have to get your programmers back on track on the original scoping of your project. So you as a project manager will have to understand the magnitude of the variation from your original scope, and the causes for any degree of variances that is there. And sometimes we find that your programmers overthink. I mean, I find my practically when I'm working with London Stock Exchange guys, they time to overblow stuff, certain things, certain security requirements, they try to overblow stuff. We need a simple change, but they're trying to overblow it out. So a degree of variances, once again, you will have to, as a project manager, we have to tell chaps, this is not what is it the customer requires. Customer requires simple change. What they require is this, and don't go on doing this unnecessary stuff. Yes, security is required, but then do what is necessary, and don't blow it off. And it will go. There will be a scope change, and at the end of the day, there will be a degree of variance that will effectively have an impact to the timeline and the costing of the organization. So we discussed last time the corrective actions and the preventive actions, bug fixing. So you will, as a project manager, will have to do corrective actions and preventive actions that is required to put the project back on track. So any control action, as I told you, will generate information. It will give you the statuses. It will give you the degree of variation that you had done. how much of the value of the variations. We will do, in the next class, we'll do how you can calculate the monetary value of the variations that is there. Then, basically, you will have to predict the what you call the predict the durations with the variations, and so that the schedule variation, cost variations, you will have to predict it. So it will generate, you as a project manager will start generating a lot of information that is required for your stakeholder communications. Control scope again will control when you're controlling certain things. Obviously, there can be some change requests coming in, maybe internally from your team itself, or sometimes from your customer itself. Maybe some there are bugs in the internal quality testing. There were some bugs, and now you're under pressure, so there can be some change requests coming internally to get the bug fixes done of your software. And sometimes, and whatever is said and done, whether it's internal or external coming from the customer, has to go through the integrated change management control process to get it done. As a result of the controlling part that you are engaged in, the controlling role that you are engaged in, you'll be updating your scope baseline if there is any updates for it with the customer's consent. And sometimes you might have to do your costing baselines get updated, and the schedule baselines to get updated, of your timing baselines to get updated. Right. So at the end, you might be updating your intranet or your organization databases of any causes for variations, why that scope changes, why does scope variances came in, and any corrective actions or any preventive actions that you have taken, any lessons learned from it, on why such scope creeps has come into the picture.